What if Earth was not a coincidence? What if from the beginning, the very soil beneath our feet, the oceans that cradle life, the mountains that stand like guardians, and the skies that cover us were not the result of chance, but the quiet unfolding of an intentional design? Tonight, as you listen and drift slowly into rest, we will imagine this possibility. We will move gently through the story of a world built with purpose, crafted with balance, and arranged in ways that go far beyond accident. Not as a tale of cold machines or harsh geometry, but as a story of harmony, a sanctuary built for life. Imagine first the ground beneath you. When you walk across the earth, every step you take is supported by rock that has been shaped over ages. The crust of the earth is not too thin, nor too thick. It holds steady under the weight of oceans and forests, yet it shifts just enough to recycle itself through plate tectonics, keeping the planet alive. If this were chance, it would seem astonishingly precise. But if this were design, then we might imagine a mind choosing this thickness carefully, balancing stability with renewal, creating a world that heals and reshapes itself slowly, so that life never stagnates. Imagine next the oceans, vast, deep, endless in their mystery. They cover most of the earth, holding the majority of its life. The saltiness of the seas is not too much to poison, not too little to fail in preserving. It is balanced, as though tuned like an instrument. The currents that flow through these waters move like the breath of the planet itself, circulating warmth and nutrients, carrying life across the globe. For sleep, this image is gentle, the ocean like a cradle, rocking life in its slow rhythm. If the earth were designed, we might picture the oceans as the first great reservoir of care, a place where life could begin, safe, stirred by tides that keep it from growing still. Above the oceans is the sky, a sky not bare, but wrapped in an atmosphere of breath. The air is mixed in such a way that lungs can draw in oxygen without burning, while plants find in it the carbon dioxide they need to grow. Invisible shields in this air block harmful rays from space, letting only the nurturing light filter through. Rain falls in cycles, cleansing, renewing, filling rivers, watering seeds. To imagine this as design is to picture a veil spread softly over the world, delicate yet protective, a constant embrace. Imagine the moon, silent, cold, yet deeply necessary. Its pull steadies the earth, keeping the planet's tilt at just the right angle so that seasons flow gently instead of wildly. Its tug on the seas makes tides, stirring the edges of the ocean where land and water meet, where early life first crawled onto the shore. In a designed world, the moon is no accident of debris caught by gravity. It is a lantern, a guardian in the night sky, always turning the same face toward us, always whispering the rhythm of months, a reminder that time itself is part of the design. Imagine the balance. Too much heat, and the seas would boil. Too little, and ice would lock the world. Too much carbon, and skies would choke. Too little, and plants would fade. Every element seems poised in narrow bands, fragile but steady, like strings of an instrument tuned to harmony. If Earth was designed, then perhaps it is not a machine, but a song, each note chosen with care, each rhythm moving toward life. Imagine time itself. The Earth has turned for billions of years, and yet it has not grown tired. Mountains rise and fall, seas open and close, but life persists. Extinctions come, but new life fills the empty places. In design, time is not the enemy. It is the canvas, allowing change, allowing renewal, allowing the story to continue without end. Imagine yourself now, lying still, breathing softly. Your body is part of this same design. The air you breathe was given by trees. The water in your blood was carried once by rivers. The iron in your veins was forged in the heart of a star long ago. You are part of the pattern. You are not outside of it, not separate from it. If Earth was designed, then you are included, shaped, placed within its care. Let this thought soothe you. Let it carry you. For in this imagining, Earth is not random. It is not hostile. It is a home. Each element chosen, each cycle balanced, each detail written with care. Whether in the turning of the moon, the warmth of the sun, the rhythm of the tides, or the breath of the wind, you are surrounded by design. A design that does not shout, but whispers. A design that does not force, but invites. A design that is not rigid, but alive, changing, yet always balanced. As you drift deeper into rest, picture the earth as it spins, wrapped in its veil of air, kissed by its oceans, warmed by its sun. Picture the forests breathing, the rivers flowing, the creatures moving in endless balance. Picture yourself as part of this, a thread in the pattern, a note in the song, a design within a design. And as sleep takes you, know that this imagining is not to explain, not to prove, but to comfort. For if the earth was designed, then it is not only a place, it is a gift. And tonight, you are safe within it. What if the earth was not simply an accident? What if, long before the first rivers carved their paths, long before the first trees reached toward the sky, long before the first eyes opened to see the sunrise, the world itself was arranged with care, shaped not by chaos, but by a deep and quiet order. Tonight, as you rest, we will imagine such a possibility, not in a hurried way, not in a loud or forceful voice, but in a slow unfolding, like the rhythm of waves on the shore, like the breath that fills your chest and leaves it again, gently, endlessly. Imagine first the very ground you walk upon. Beneath your feet lies a crust of stone that has been moving, shifting, and renewing for billions of years. It is thin enough to allow mountains to rise, and thick enough to hold the oceans in place. It cracks and bends, and through those cracks, fire rises, reshaping the surface. This movement, though it may seem chaotic, has given us continents, valleys, islands, and shorelines. It has balanced destruction with creation. If the earth were designed, this crust might be more than rock. It might be the skin of a living being, self-healing, endlessly recycling itself, ensuring that no land grows old forever, but is always reborn. And so, as you imagine this ground, imagine also its patience. It does not hurry, it does not rush. Its changes are too slow for any one human lifetime, and yet across millions of years, the balance holds. Now, picture the oceans. They cover most of the earth, wide and endless, shimmering under the light of the sun, silver under the glow of the moon. Their waters cradle life, offering shelter, food, and rhythm. They are salted just enough to preserve, to prevent decay, but not too much to poison. The waves move in steady breaths, tides pulled by the moon, currents stirred by the winds. If this was design, we might see the oceans as a cradle, rocking all of life gently, endlessly. They are vast, and yet they are delicate. Their saltiness is balanced, their temperature is balanced, even their depth is balanced. Too shallow, and heat would overwhelm them. Too deep, and light would never stir them. But as they are, they move with harmony, carrying life across the globe. Lift your eyes to the sky. Above you is a veil of air, invisible yet essential. It wraps the earth like a protective cloak, softening the heat of the sun, filtering its light so that it warms but does not burn, so that it gives life but does not destroy. This air is mixed just right, enough oxygen to breathe, enough nitrogen to calm the flames, enough carbon to feed the plants. Too much of one, too little of another, and life could not endure. And yet here it is, balanced, quiet, perfect in its proportions. And from this air comes rain. Clouds gather, drift, and release water back onto the earth, carrying it into rivers, washing it into soil, filling the oceans again. A cycle, endless and pure, as though written into the design of the world itself. Now look beyond the sky, toward the moon. Silent, pale and constant. Its light is not its own, but a reflection, a gentle borrowing from the sun. Yet its presence is more than beauty. It steadies the earth, holding its axis at just the right tilt, preventing wild swings of climate. It pulls on the seas, creating tides that stir the edges of the oceans, where land and water meet, where the first life might have learned to breathe the air. If the earth were designed, then the moon is not an accident, but a guardian, a clock in the night sky, a rhythm that has kept time since the first creatures stirred. And then, the sun, a star that burns with fire, yet not too near, not too far. A star that shines steadily for billions of years, neither flaring too wildly nor fading too quickly. It warms the earth, and its light awakens the plants. Its rise and fall creates day and night, weaving the rhythm of waking and sleeping. In design, the sun is a lamp, set at just the right distance, chosen with precision, not too bright to scorch, not too dim to freeze. It is ordinary among stars, yet to us it is extraordinary. Now the plants. Imagine the forests, green and endless, rising like cathedrals, their branches lifting toward the light. Every leaf is a miracle, drawing in sunlight and weaving it into food. Every root holds the soil, keeping the earth steady. The plants breathe in what we exhale, and they return what we need to survive. In their fruit is sweetness, not only for nourishment, but for joy. If the earth was designed, the plants are gifts, offering not only life but beauty, color, fragrance and comfort. Then, the animals, each in balance with the others, each playing a part. The bees carry pollen from flower to flower, and in doing so, entire forests are born. The whales stir the oceans, spreading nutrients through the seas. The wolves keep herds from overwhelming the land. The birds scatter seeds. The insects, small as they are, weave the very fabric of the ecosystem. Each creature fits into the larger whole, not alone, but as part of a design so intricate that even the smallest ant matters. And finally, the human being, upright, with hands to shape tools, with voices to speak, with minds to dream, fragile in body, yet enduring in spirit. Our eyes see patterns in the stars, our ears hear the rhythm of the seas, our hearts feel wonder. If this world were designed, then humans are not outside of it. We are not separate from it. We are part of it. Our bodies are made of the same elements as the stars. The iron in our blood was forged in a furnace of light billions of years ago. The water in our veins once flowed in rivers. The breath we take was given by trees. To imagine design is to imagine ourselves not as strangers here, but as children of this earth, placed within its care. And in this balance, nothing is wasted. The heat of the sun becomes food in the leaves. The death of one creature becomes nourishment for another. The rivers carve valleys, and in time, those valleys cradle new forests. Even endings become beginnings. If the earth was designed, then perhaps its greatest secret is renewal, that nothing truly disappears, but only changes, moves, transforms, and continues. Now, let yourself rest in this thought. The earth beneath you, the air around you, the stars above you, each one balanced, each one carrying the quiet rhythm of life. If this world is a design, then it is a design not of cold machines, but of harmony, not of harsh rules, but of balance, not of rigid shapes, but of living cycles. And you are a part of it. Your body, your breath, your dreams are woven into the same pattern. As you listen, let the idea soften you. Let it calm you. For in this imagining, the earth is not chaos, not accident. It is home. A home shaped with care. A home where you belong. A home where even in sleep you are safe, carried by a design larger than yourself. What if Earth was actually designed, not as an object, not as a machine, but as a place of rest, a place of balance, a place where everything speaks in whispers to everything else? If we look closely, gently, we can see the hints everywhere. We can hear them in the silence between the waves. We can feel them in the stillness of the air. We can notice them in the way the seasons arrive, not suddenly, but gradually, patiently, like a story told in 4 parts, again and again. Imagine spring. Soft, slow, opening like a hand. Buds appear, green, fragile, yet certain of their time. The air shifts, the light warms, life stretches awake from its winter sleep. If Earth was designed, spring is not just a season. It is the reminder of renewal, of beginning again, of cycles that always return. Every bird that sings, every petal that unfolds, every drop of rain that falls, they all move in rhythm, as though answering to an unseen conductor, as though spring itself is a kind of music. Then comes summer, long days, golden with light, when the earth leans closer to the sun. The air is full, thick with warmth, heavy with growth. Fields of grain ripple in the wind like oceans of gold. Forests hum with insects. Rivers flow with strength. If Earth was designed, summer is the time of abundance, when life swells, when energy pours into every root and leaf, when the world is generous. In summer, the design is easy to feel everywhere. There is more than enough. After summer, the light begins to tilt. Autumn arrives not in a rush, but in a gradual softening. The days shorten, the air cools, the trees turn to fire red, orange, gold before letting go. Leaves fall, drift, return to the soil. The harvest is gathered. The animals prepare. If Earth was designed, autumn is the lesson of release. To let go is not to lose, but to give back. To fall is not to vanish, but to return to the cycle. In autumn, the earth shows us that endings are not final. They are beginnings in disguise. And then, winter. Quiet, still, a pause in the great rhythm. Snow covers the ground, rivers slow, trees rest, the air clears. The nights stretch long and deep. If Earth was designed, winter is not a punishment, but a silence. It is the breath between words, the pause between songs, the space that allows everything else to grow again. In winter, the design of the Earth invites us to rest too, to slow, to wait, to trust that spring will return. And so, the seasons turn, not once, not twice, but endlessly, each one answering the next, each one preparing for the other, too balanced to be chance, too patient to be random. If Earth was designed, then the seasons are the world's heartbeat, steady, quiet, eternal. Now imagine the mountains, rising slow, shaped by fire beneath and ice above. Some are jagged, new, sharp against the sky. Others are softened, worn, rolling like waves frozen in stone. They hold snow at their peaks, sending rivers downward to the valleys. They catch clouds, making rain. They rise not only as obstacles, but as guardians holding the land in place. If Earth was designed, mountains are more than stone. They are memory. They are patience. They remind us that change can be slow and still be powerful. Beside the mountains, the valleys, soft, fertile, filled with rivers and soil carried down from the peaks. Crops grow there. Forests thrive there. People settle there. If Earth was designed, the valleys are gifts from the mountains, the proof that even the hardest stone becomes life when it breaks down, when it gives itself to the soil. And then the deserts, wide, endless, silent. To some, they seem empty, but in truth, they are full of hidden life, waiting, resting, surviving in ways unseen. The sands shift, the winds carve, the stars above blaze more clearly in the desert night than anywhere else. If Earth was designed, deserts remind us of stillness, of simplicity, of how much beauty can exist in what seems barren. Beyond the land, the oceans stretch again, deep, dark, infinite. Whole worlds exist beneath the waves, forests of kelp, cities of coral, mountains hidden far below. Fish shimmer like mirrors, whales sing across miles, currents flow like invisible rivers within the sea. If Earth was designed, the oceans are the lungs of the planet. They breathe in carbon, they breathe out oxygen, they cradle storms, they cradle life. They remind us that what is unseen is no less important. Lift your eyes once more, higher now, to the stars. Above the Earth, space seems silent, empty, yet it is full of light, full of suns, full of planets we cannot touch. And still, among this vastness, the Earth moves in just the right way, tilted enough to bring seasons, steady enough to stay balanced, spinning fast enough to hold its shape, slow enough to let life breathe. If Earth was designed, the sky is its ceiling, endless, painted with stars like lanterns scattered across infinity. And through all of this, through mountains, valleys, deserts, oceans, stars, one thread weaves again and again, balance. The Earth is never still, yet never chaotic, always moving, yet always steady, always shifting, yet always whole. If this is design, it is not rigid design, it is living design, breathing design, design that allows change and yet never loses its harmony. Now, return to the human being, you. Your breath moves with the air, your blood moves with the water, your bones hold the same minerals as the mountains, your body warms with the same sun. You are not separate from this earth, you are of it. If Earth was designed, then so are you, not as a mistake, not as an afterthought, but as part of the same balance, part of the same rhythm. Close your eyes and imagine your heartbeat, slow, steady. Now imagine the rhythm of the tides, slow, steady. They are not so different. The pulse in your chest, the pulse of the ocean. If Earth was designed, then even your heart is part of that design, keeping time with the world around you. And so, as you rest, you can imagine it all as one great design: the land, the sea, the sky, the stars, the seasons, the life, and you. Not separate, not alone, but woven together, each part answering the other, each part needed by the other, each part alive with purpose. What if Earth was actually designed not only as a place to live, but as a place to notice, a place to pause, to wonder, to rest in the quiet patterns that repeat and repeat until they become part of us? The more you look, the more the patterns appear. Take the rivers. They begin in the mountains, high where snow gathers in silence. The snow melts, the water trickles, streams join streams, small voices becoming stronger together. They carve valleys, nourish fields, carry life with them. At last, they reach the sea, and then the cycle begins again. Water rises, clouds drift, rain falls, always moving, always returning. If Earth was designed, then rivers are not only water, they are lessons in patience. They never rush, yet they never stop. They wind, they bend, they turn, and yet, no matter how far they wander, they always reach their home, like us, always moving, always searching, always returning. Now listen to the forests, not with your ears but with your imagination. The leaves rustle, the branches creak, birds call to one another, insects hum in hidden choirs. Beneath the soil, roots stretch, intertwine, share. Every tree is a world, but every forest is a community. If Earth was designed, forests remind us that nothing truly grows alone. Even in silence, even in stillness, life is sharing, exchanging, supporting. And then, the skies. Clouds drift like ships across an endless sea. Some are soft, pale, like whispers. Some are dark, heavy, like drums. They bring rain, they bring shadow, they bring light. If Earth was designed, the sky is the great canvas, always the same, yet never the same. No cloud ever repeats, no sunset ever mirrors another. Yet always the pattern holds, day into night, night into day, again, again, again. The stars above remind us of the same, thousands, millions, burning quietly across distance we cannot imagine. Some are gone already, their light still traveling, still reaching us across centuries. If Earth was designed, the stars are reminders of time itself, that what we see is not always what is, that the past and present are always mingling, always whispering together. Now, imagine the shore, where land meets sea, waves come, waves go, always in rhythm, never breaking it. The water smooths stones, carries shells, writes patterns in the sand, then erases them, only to begin again. If Earth was designed, the shore is its meditation. The tide, the endless breathing of the planet, inhaling, exhaling, gentle, steady, forever. And listen to the wind, soft across fields, strong across deserts, howling through mountains, whispering through trees, invisible yet undeniable. It shapes dunes, it carries seeds, it polishes stone. If Earth was designed, the wind is its voice never seen, always felt. Look closer at the smallest details, the spiral of a shell repeating in perfect ratios, the symmetry of a leaf unfolding with hidden mathematics, the curve of a galaxy mirrored in the curl of a wave, mirrored again in the swirl of your fingerprint. At first it seems empty, endless sand, endless heat, endless silence. But stay, watch closely. The wind paints ripples across dunes, each line moving like waves frozen in golden stone. Tiny plants push through, surviving where it seems impossible. At night, stars cover the desert sky, brighter here than anywhere else. If Earth was designed, then even emptiness has a purpose to show us that silence is never truly silent, that stillness is never truly still. Now imagine the rain, drops falling one by one, each creating a circle that spreads across water. Thousands of circles overlapping, joining, fading, returning again. Rain is simple, yet endless. It cleans, it nourishes, it softens, it connects sky to earth. If Earth was designed, rain is its reminder of renewal, that nothing is lost, only returned in a different form. Think of snow, falling slowly, gently, quietly, covering everything with softness. Trees, rooftops, mountains, valleys all equal under the same blanket. The world grows still, time slows, the air feels hushed, calm, waiting. If Earth was designed, snow is its pause, a moment for rest, for silence, for breath. And beneath the snow, life sleeps. Seeds wait, roots wait. Animals curl into hibernation, safe in their burrows, carried by the promise of return. If Earth was designed, winter is not an ending. It is a preparation, a gathering of strength for what will come next. Now see the spring, the thaw, rivers run stronger, flowers unfold, birds return. The air fills with song again. What was hidden rises, what was silent speaks. If Earth was designed, spring is its reassurance, that after silence comes music, after stillness comes movement, after sleep comes awakening, and always the cycle continues. Desert into bloom, rain into rivers, snow into streams, spring into summer, summer into autumn, autumn into winter, again, again, again. If Earth was designed, then design is not about one moment. It is about the cycle, the eternal turning of time, each season balancing the next, each change preparing for another. Now listen to the ocean once more, deep, vast, endless. Waves rise, waves fall, tides come, tides go. In the depths creatures glow, drifting like lanterns in a dark cathedral. Whales sing, their voices carrying for miles, low and haunting, filling the water with sound older than memory. If Earth was designed, the ocean is its heartbeat, steady, deep, patient, carrying all life in its rhythm. And beyond the ocean, mountains rise, some sharp, some rolling, some hidden in mist. Their peaks touch the clouds, their roots sink deep into the earth. They watch across centuries, they hold history in stone. If Earth was designed, mountains are its memory, quiet, unmoving, yet filled with stories written in layers of rock. Then there are valleys, soft and sheltered, holding rivers and fields, gentle places where life can rest. If mountains are memory, valleys are comfort. If Earth was designed, every height is balanced by depth, every strength by softness, every challenge by rest. Even fire has its place, flames rise, burn, consume. Yet in forests, fire clears space for new growth. In volcanoes, fire shapes new land, giving birth to islands. If Earth was designed, fire is not destruction, it is transformation, the energy of change itself. And what of the night? The sky turns dark, the air cools, the world slows. Lights appear above stars, planets, the soft glow of the moon. Shadows stretch, creatures stir, silence deepens. If Earth was designed, the night is its invitation to rest, to close the eyes, to let the mind wander, to drift into dreams. Dreams, the secret landscapes within, endless, shifting, filled with memory and imagination, woven together. In dreams, rivers flow differently, mountains move, stars fall, voices echo. If Earth was designed, perhaps dreams are its mirror, another way of reminding us that reality is never only what we see. Delicate creatures floating weightlessly, shimmering with colors unseen, reminding us that beauty can exist without reason, beauty simply for the sake of being. And from the seas to the land, we see mountains rising as if the earth itself breathed deep and lifted its chest. Peaks dusted with snow, feeding rivers that carve valleys, watering fields where plants stretch toward light, every blade of grass leaning, every tree lifting its arms as though in quiet prayer. And within those forests, life multiplies. Songbirds stitching music into the air, insects weaving endless threads of activity, each small part fitting together into a pattern too large for us to see in one glance. A web of life interconnected, fragile yet enduring. And within this web we too find our place. Humans walking across plains, building fires to warm their nights, shaping stories to explain their days, looking up at the same stars that have always looked back, stars so distant yet so steady, their light traveling through eternity just to touch the surface of our eyes, as if reminding us that we are part of something unmeasurable, something vast and eternal. And when we pause in the stillness of night, when the world grows quiet and our thoughts soften, we may wonder whether this balance, this beauty, this fragile harmony was written into the world from the very beginning, a design not of bricks and mortar, but of moments and patterns, of repetition and renewal, a design that is gentle enough to be overlooked but powerful enough to shape everything we know. And if the earth was designed, perhaps it was not designed like a machine, cold and precise, but like a garden, tender and alive, made not only to function but to soothe, to heal, to comfort. The rivers like veins, the trees like lungs, the wind like breath, the whole planet breathing with us, whispering us to sleep when we rest, cradling us in its rhythm, and as we think of this, our minds wander to the smallest of details, the curve of a seashell, the spiral of a galaxy, the way the veins of a leaf mirror the branching of rivers, the branching of lungs, the branching of lightning, patterns repeating across scales so different yet echoing the same quiet song, as though everything is written in one language, a language of symmetry, of design, of care. And the more we look, the more we feel that this world, whether by design or by chance, carries with it a secret purpose, a reason that goes beyond survival, beyond need, a reason to remind us of wonder. And in that wonder we rest, because sleep itself feels like part of the design, a rhythm that takes us away only to return us renewed, a gentle pause, a nightly reset, as if even in our deepest stillness the earth continues its lullaby, carrying us quietly into another day, another chance to breathe, another chance to see, another chance to wonder at the possibility that this earth, this fragile world, may be more than stone and soil, may be more than water and air. It may be a message written not in words, but in the endless rhythm of life itself, a message that says simply, you belong here, you always have, you always will. And as the stars drift silently above and the waves fold softly against the shore, we sink deeper into this thought, held by the possibility of a design that is not meant to be solved but to be felt, not meant to be proven but to be lived, a design that hums in the quiet, that drifts in the clouds, that rests in the silence of the night, waiting only for us to notice, waiting only for us to listen. And so we breathe slower, softer, and let the earth itself carry us into sleep, into stillness, into peace. And if we allow our thoughts to drift even deeper, further into the quiet dream of design, we begin to notice how even the smallest interactions carry a sense of balance that feels more like intention than accident, how the bees find flowers in bloom just when the nectar is ready, how the rains fall at the season when seeds are waiting to wake, how the earth tilts just enough to give us cycles of warmth and rest, light and shadow, growth and renewal. And this rhythm is not rushed, it is not hurried, it is slow, patient, timeless, as though the earth itself knows the value of stillness. And in that stillness, we too find rest, the kind of rest that holds the body, eases the breath and quiets the mind. And when we imagine this world as designed, we may feel that its purpose is not only in survival, not only in function, but in comfort, in the way the stars are arranged to scatter light like lanterns, in the way the moon glows enough to guide a traveler, yet never so bright as to banish the night, in the way the ocean waves repeat endlessly, a rhythm that has whispered to humanity since the first fires were lit on the shore. And this rhythm seeps into us. It slows our hearts, it loosens our thoughts, it carries us toward rest, and in this rest we imagine the earth itself as a cradle, not only of life, but of peace, designed not just for the living to grow, but for the living to dream. And the dream stretches far beyond the surface, into the mountains that stand like guardians, into the deserts that glow with silence, into the skies that seem endless yet intimate, and in every place there is a sense of belonging, as though each grain of sand, each droplet of rain, each gust of wind has a part to play in the endless design. And when we think of this, our minds soften into wonder, because even the things that seem harsh, the storms that roll across the horizon, the fires that sweep through the forests, the quakes that shake the ground, these too are part of renewal, part of the endless turning, part of the balance that gives space for new life, new growth, new beginnings. And in this gentle view, even chaos has meaning. Even destruction folds into creation, the cycle repeating with a patience far beyond our years. And perhaps that is the quiet secret of design, that it is not in perfection frozen still, but in balance always moving, always flowing, always reshaping, the rivers cutting paths that become valleys, the winds carving stone into arches, the oceans polishing shells into spirals, and the design continues in us too, in our breath that moves without effort, in our hearts that beat without command, in our sleep that comes like tide and leaves like dawn, patterns that hold us gently even when we do not notice them. And so the design, if it exists, is not loud, not declared, not written in letters, but woven into silence, into the way grass bends under dew, into the way clouds paint shadows on the hills, into the way the horizon always waits for the sun, no matter how many nights have passed. And as we think of this, the thought itself becomes a lullaby, a slow unfolding that tells us we are not separate from the earth, but woven into its fabric, carried by its design, lulled by its rhythm. And in this awareness we let go of the need to solve, the need to prove, and simply rest in the mystery, in the possibility that the earth was shaped not only to exist, but to comfort, to cradle, to remind us with every sunrise and every breath that we are part of something vast, ancient, and endlessly patient. And with that thought we sink deeper into calm, deeper into stillness, deeper into the kind of peace that carries us softly into sleep. And as the mind drifts further, as though carried on a gentle current, we may begin to imagine that the earth itself was arranged as a great sanctuary, not hurried, not chaotic, but calm, deliberate, unfolding across ages as though time itself were a brush painting on the canvas of the world, and the strokes are patient, each mountain raised slowly, each river cut gently, each forest growing in silence, as if to remind us that life does not need to rush to be whole, that beauty does not need haste to endure, and in this perspective, even the smallest things feel intentional, the way a leaf curls toward light, the way raindrops gather in patterns across a window, the way the air carries the fragrance of blossoms when the season turns. And it may seem as if the earth was designed not only to sustain life, but to soothe it, to cradle it, to lull it into peace. And this sense of design is not shouted, not announced, but whispered, found in the hush of snowfall, in the soft glow of twilight, in the steady rhythm of waves upon the shore, a rhythm that has never stopped, not for a single moment since the seas were born. And when we listen to that rhythm, it becomes difficult to think of it as mere chance, for it feels more like a song, one that the earth has been singing since its beginning, a song that moves through us, through our breath, through our heartbeat, through the quiet thoughts that come when the world has grown still. And this song feels designed not for chaos but for calm, not for confusion but for order, not for fear but for comfort. And perhaps that is its hidden purpose, to remind us that beneath the noise of daily life there is a deeper order, a deeper stillness, a design that never breaks. And when we close our eyes and imagine the earth from above, spinning slowly in the dark, wrapped in its thin veil of air, glowing with oceans and clouds, we can almost feel the gentleness of that design, the way the day slides into night, the way the seasons circle endlessly, the way every cycle gives space for rest and renewal. And if we stretch our imagination further, we may see the earth itself as a vast cradle, carrying life with care, rocking it with tides and winds, sheltering it under skies. And in that cradle there is a calm that has always been present, waiting to be felt, waiting to be remembered. And as we rest in this thought, the idea of design becomes less about explanation and more about sensation, not something to be solved, but something to be felt, a sense that we are held, guided, carried along by patterns older than memory. And this thought, gentle as it is, begins to soften us, to loosen the edges of the mind, to ease the tension of the body, and like the rivers that flow toward the sea, we too flow toward rest, toward quiet, toward sleep. And in this surrender, the world continues its design, carrying us forward into another dawn, another cycle, another dream. And as the stillness deepens, as though time itself slows to a soft, endless drift, we may sense that the design of the earth is not something loud or obvious, but something quiet, hidden in plain sight, a patient rhythm that reveals itself only when we pause long enough to notice, and when we do notice it becomes almost overwhelming in its calm perfection, the way each season flows seamlessly into the next, carrying life through cycles of growth and rest, warmth and cold, abundance and retreat, like the inhaling and exhaling of a vast living being. And in this rhythm, we begin to see the earth not as a random collection of parts, but as a whole, a tapestry woven with threads that span oceans, forests, mountains, and skies, each thread distinct yet inseparable from the others, as if the very fabric of the world was woven to hold life in balance, and even the smallest details seem purposeful, the way morning dew nourishes tiny mosses clinging to stone, the way wind scatters seeds across valleys to ensure the future, the way clouds gather at just the right moment to shield the land from a burning sun. And the more we notice these patterns, the more it feels as though the earth is not only designed to exist, but designed to be experienced, to be lived in, to be felt with awe and gentleness, as though it whispers to each living thing, "You belong here. You are part of this. You are held." And in this thought, the mind begins to soften, the heart begins to rest, and the body begins to sink into the comfort of knowing that we are part of something greater, something vast yet gentle, endless yet close. And perhaps this is the true secret of the earth's design, not in answers, but in the feeling of being carried, of being guided, of being part of a rhythm that has always moved, even before we were here, and will continue long after. A rhythm that does not demand but simply flows, endlessly, patiently, carrying us as rivers carry leaves, as winds carry feathers, as dreams carry thoughts into sleep. And as this realization settles, the edges of thought blur, the noise of the day fades, and what remains is only the steady, endless design of the earth, rocking us into rest, into silence, into peace. And so the thought continues, endlessly unfolding like the horizon that always seems just out of reach, reminding us that the design of earth is not confined to what we see in front of us, but stretches outward into time itself, as though every past moment and every future moment are woven into the present, creating a continuity that feels eternal. And when we imagine this great fabric, it is almost like listening to a melody played softly on an instrument that never stops, its notes drifting through the air, repeating in different ways, changing but always returning to harmony. And the earth is that melody, flowing through the centuries, through every raindrop, through every sunrise, through every breeze that bends the grass, whispering the same song over and over, that life is meant to endure, to renew, to find its way again and again, no matter the obstacles. And perhaps this is the quiet brilliance of its design, that even in moments of difficulty, even in the long nights when the stars are hidden, even when storms rage and the seas rise, the earth still carries within it the promise of calm, the return of morning, the soft light that follows shadow, as if it was written into its very structure that nothing lasts forever, not sorrow, not hardship, not even joy, but that all things flow, all things turn, all things are gently replaced by what comes after. And in this flowing cycle, we begin to understand that design does not need to be rigid or fixed. It can be soft, it can be flexible, it can be like water, shaping itself to what is needed. And in this fluidity lies comfort, because just as rivers carve valleys and winds shape dunes, the passing of time shapes us too, guiding us along paths we may not have chosen, but which lead us to places we are meant to be. And as we realize this, as we allow ourselves to trust this endless, gentle rhythm, a deep calm settles within, a calm that feels as old as the mountains and as vast as the seas, a calm that whispers that we are not lost, we are not separate, we are not out of place, but always, always part of the design. And in this knowing, sleep comes gently, like twilight across a quiet field, like the hush of waves against a shore that has seen countless tides, like the embrace of night itself, carrying us into rest, carrying us into peace, carrying us into the dream of a world that has always been designed to hold us, softly, endlessly, forever. And as we let our thoughts drift further into this vision of a designed earth, we begin to sense that every detail, no matter how small, has been arranged in ways that invite reflection, as though each stone, each drop of water, each grain of sand carries within it the story of a purpose greater than itself. And when we pause to look at the great seas, their waves rising and falling endlessly, we realize they are not simply water in motion, but a timeless rhythm meant to remind us of balance, of persistence, of the gentle truth that life is not static, but always moving. And this movement is not random. It has a softness that feels deliberate, a guiding hand that ensures the waters never cease their flowing, never cease their song. And when we turn from the seas toward the mountains, we see their towering peaks as symbols of endurance, rising above the mists and clouds, holding the sky upon their shoulders as if they were pillars of the world, sculpted with patient care, their slopes marked by the passage of eons. And even these immense shapes remind us that the design of Earth is not hurried but timeless, that beauty is often carved slowly, with silence and patience, with forces that move gently though they may appear strong. And then we descend again into the valleys, lush with green life, forests stretching endlessly, trees rising like ancient guardians, their leaves catching the sun in ways that scatter light into countless tiny stars. And in these quiet forests we sense a language, a communication, written not in words, but in the way branches grow toward light, in the way roots reach deep into soil, in the way seeds drift into new places to begin their lives, and all of it seems to whisper of intention, of a harmony that holds even the smallest forms of life in its embrace, so that nothing is forgotten, nothing is without meaning. And when we look even closer, at the smallest creatures that move beneath the leaves, the insects, the hidden dwellers of soil and bark, we realize they too are part of this tapestry, not random but necessary, each performing its quiet role, each ensuring that the balance continues, that life renews itself endlessly. And as the thought grows deeper, we begin to sense that design is not about perfection in the way we often imagine, but about continuation, about cycles that overlap and sustain one another, about patterns that repeat just enough to provide stability, yet allow enough change to bring renewal. And perhaps this is why the earth feels alive when we walk upon it, why its winds feel like breath and its rivers feel like veins, because it is not a machine made of cold parts, but a living system designed to adapt, to endure, to recover again and again. And in this realization, our minds soften, our hearts slow, because it becomes clear that we too are part of this design, not standing outside it, but flowing within it, shaped by the same forces that shape the rivers and mountains, moved by the same cycles of time. And when we see ourselves in this way, not as observers but as participants, something within us settles into peace, as though we finally remember our place, a place not of domination, but of belonging, of fitting seamlessly into the design that has been unfolding since the first dawn. And this thought brings with it a kind of serenity that washes over us, a recognition that life itself, with all its struggles and all its beauty, is part of something vast, something intentional, something far greater than any single story. And if we let ourselves drift into this recognition, we find rest, for we no longer need to grasp tightly at meaning. We no longer need to wrestle with uncertainty, because the design itself is meaning. The design itself is certainty. The design itself is enough. And in this surrender we sleep, as softly as the ocean tides, as quietly as the stars that shine above us, endless in their silence, endless in their design. And as we let the thought of design sink deeper into us, it becomes clear that this earth is not simply a place we walk upon, but a vast sanctuary created with endless layers of care, where even the silence has meaning. And when we close our eyes and imagine the planet from afar, a glowing sphere floating in the darkness of space, we see not just a rock circling a star, but a jewel wrapped in blue, a world dressed in oceans, clouds like gentle veils drifting across its face, green lands breathing beneath. And this picture is too graceful, too perfectly balanced to feel accidental. And as our minds drift downward once more into the living landscapes, we notice that everywhere the pattern repeats: water flowing, air moving, light nourishing, and all these movements working together as if following a script, as if each element knows its place and its timing. The rains arriving when the land thirsts, the winds carrying seeds to places where new life can rise, and the warmth of the sun falling just enough to nurture but not destroy.